Good morning, everyone. This is December 8th. So sesshin completed yesterday midnight. So I really appreciate sesshin participants, hard practice. This is also the anniversary of my ordination. I was ordained on December 8th, 1970. So let's see, 54 years ago. It's amazing. I sat sesshin until 4 years ago. That was my 50th anniversary of my ordination. And it was getting more and more difficult for my body. I felt it more like a torture than meditation. So last 4 years, I don't sit sesshin. But as my practice, I go to wide and to walk. And to me, walking is a kind of meditation. Anyway, this morning, I'd like to talk about one Dharma Hall discourse of Dogen from Eihei Korok. I'm sorry, so I don't use that text. Dogen gave this Dharma Hall discourse on the occasion of Buddha's Enlightenment Day. And one of his discourses, he said, he transmitted this celebration of Buddha's enlightenment for the first time in Japanese history of Buddhism. It said he had been doing this celebration for 20 years. So it was kind of a new celebration, but since from the time of Dogen, in our tradition, we celebrate Buddha's birthday, Enlightenment Day, and Nirvana Day as three most important annual events in our life, religious life. Anyway, this particular Dharma Hall discourse on the occasion of Buddha's Enlightenment Day was given, of course, December 8th, 1249. So he was 49 years old, and when he died, he was 53. So it's close to the end of his life. This is quite a long discourse, so let me first read the entire discourse and talk mainly on Dogen's, anyway, let me read this entire discourse. This is number 360, if we want to check this text in Dogen's extensive record. Pages 318. Enlightenment Day, Dharma Hall Discourse, 1249. Under the Bodhi tree, where the two wheels of practice and Dharma are intimately turning, the flower of awakening is bright. In innumerable great thousands of worlds. At this time, for himself and the entire surroundings, ease and bliss arose. My original teacher, the world-honored one, great Master Shakyamuni Buddha, On this morning, remained under the Bodhi tree, sitting zazen on the Vajra seat, accomplishing unsurpassed true awakening. When first expressing it, he said, 3/4 of this night has passed. In the remaining quarter, the brightness will dawn. The various kind of conditioned and unconditioned beings all remain unmoving. At this time, the unsurpassable, venerable great sage extinguishes the various afflictions, attains Bodhi, and becomes known as the one with wisdom about everything in the world. What is the meaning of the world-honored one speaking like this? Great assembly, do you want to clearly understand this? After a pause, Dogen said, in the snow is a single branch of jeweled plum. Single branch of jeweled plum blossoms. Wondrous fragrance strikes the nose, arriving before spring. At that time, the world-honored one also said, because of the virtue and benefit I created in ancient times, everything wished for in my heart has been accomplished. My mind of samadhi has been instantly verified, and I have reached the shore of nirvana. All my various enemies or foes, and even the demon Papias, that is Mara, in the Ishvara level of the realm of desire, cannot trouble me. And so they all take refuge in Buddha. This is because of the power of my virtue and wisdom. If you can courageously make the right effort, if you can courageously make diligent effort to seek sacred wisdom, this will be attained without difficulty. Once it is attained, all afflictions will be exhausted, and all your accumulated offenses and faults will be extinguished. This is the first expounding of dharma for the sake of human and heavenly beings at the time when the world-honored one attained awakening. His dharma children and dharma descendants should not fail to know this. Already having known this, how do you express it? This morning, for the sake of crows and water monks, Eihei means Dogen. Eihei will tell it. Do you want to hear this? After a pause, Dogen said, when the morning star finally appeared, Buddha accomplished the way. In the snow is a single branch of plum blossoms. On the great earth, sentient beings, together with grasses and trees, attained joy as never before at this time. So this is quite a long Dharma discourses, but Dogen quote two sayings by Buddha. Dogen said this is by Buddha, but this is quotation from a sutra about Buddha's biography, not only enlightenment, but from actually first the sutra mentioned about Buddha's practice before he was born. He practiced as a bodhisattva or bodhisattva for 500 lifetimes, and finally he was born in this lifetime, the final lifetime. So this sutra is very long, and his attainment, awakening, is one of the most important event in his last final lifetime. So these two quite a long quote in Dogen discourse is from this sutra. And even though Dogen said, Buddha said these two things, but actually this is not what Buddha said, but this is said in the sutra. Because in this saying, Buddha said, when Buddha was sitting under the Bodhi tree, the Buddha awakened. So Shakyamuni himself called himself Buddha or the Tathagata, and it's kind of strange. So these are not what Buddha said, but these are the description from the sutra. Anyway, to me, this is interesting and important to make a connection between Buddha's awakening on December 8th and what Dogen understand about his awakening. And it's kind of difficult to make a connection, at least to me, what happened to the Buddha described in the sutras. Possibly Buddha didn't say himself about his experience while he was sitting alone and he had awakening. But later, Buddhists made stories, and so this is a kind of a fantasy made by later Buddhists about the very important experience of Buddha himself, because Buddha was alone, sitting in the dark night, and I don't think he make announcement. Now I'm sitting under the Bodhi tree, and I had awakening. So all what is said in the sutra or what is said by Dogen are all kind of their understanding what happened to Buddha or what is Buddha's awakening. And usually in the Pali text, Buddha's awakening or the last night before awakening was described such as first he practiced meditation that is called dhyana or jhana. Or jhana is Zen, that is meditation. And it said there are 4 stages of meditation. And so this is a kind of practice of shamatha, calm down our mind and focused. And after that, he started to see things, that is vipassana. So stopping and seeing is what, according to Pali text, that is what Buddha did until the moment of awakening. And he completed that process before morning stars come up. And when he saw the morning star, he had awakening. But the final things he kind of not thinking, but vipassana. What is vipassana in English? I don't know. Seeing. That is what he did it. I don't know if that is what he thought or what he see. But according to the Pali text, what he sees in the last moment of the processing, this process was he saw the 12 links of causation, and he had awakening. 12 links of causation is one of the most important and famous teaching in early Buddhism. That 12 links is a common teaching of Buddha to be liberated from our karmic transmigration within samsara, and that is what Buddha saw. But I read this book, The Life of the Buddha. This is not one description or one story, but this person, Bhikkhu Nyanamori, collected from various sources in Pali text about the important event of Buddha's life. And when he talks about Buddha's awakening, he didn't quote 12 links of causation, but he quote 10 links. And 10 links and 12 links are different. And to me, this difference is important to understand Dogen. Dogen or Mahayana teaching about Buddha's awakening. I think you already know what are 12 links. From the first, let me first write in Chinese because I often forget what I'm talking about. Mumyo is ignorance, and Gyo is volitional formation, and third is Shiki, consciousness, and fourth is Myoshiki, consciousness. Myoshiki is name and form. And Rokushu or Rokunyu, that is the six sense basis, that is like eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. And next one, seventh, is Sok. Sok is contact. And Ju is a feeling or sensation. And Soku, Ju, and Ace is eye or craving. Craving or thirst. And ninth is Shu, is clinging. This is ninth, and 10th is existence or being. and 11th is birth. And 12th, the last one is suffering, old age and death, old age and death. So from first cause is ignorance. And it is said first two are about our previous lifetime. And until here, present lifetime. And future lifetime is starting from birth. So this teaching of 12 links of causation try to explain, we are being born based on what we did in the past, and based on what we are doing in this lifetime, we will be born in certain way in the next lifetime. So this is about transmigration from one lifetime to the next lifetime, depending upon our karma. So as far as we are living based on ignorance, this process cycle continue forever. But when we become free from ignorance, this cause and result all disappear, and we will be liberated. That is the 12 links of causation. And so in the Pali text, usually commonly teach that what Buddha did, or what happened to Buddha in his moment of awakening was he really, as a true knowledge, see this process and become free from ignorance completely. That was his awakening and also his liberation from transmigration. But this is teaching of 12 links. But in the case of 10 links of causation, that is really different. 10 links means there's no first two. It starts from Shiki, consciousness. Actually, it starts from old age and death, and go from here to there. And it is said from contact, it's the same. But it is said, Rokunyu is, as I said, sense organs. And Myoshiki, in this case, name and form, means object of our sense organs. And Shiki is consciousness. Another important teaching is sense organs and object of sense organs. When 6 sense organs meet their object, consciousness appeared. So there are 3 things. Those 3 things are these 3 things: sense organs, object, and consciousness. When these 3 work together, that is contact. And what is said is when object, name and face exist, consciousness exists. And when consciousness exists, name and fame exist. So it's not one way. In the case of 12 links, the cause and result is one way. Birth is not the result of old age and death. Birth is a cause, and there's no way return to birth when we are old. But here in the teaching of 10 links of causation, it said these two are interconnected. When consciousness is there, object of consciousness is there. But when consciousness disappears, object also disappeared. So these two are interconnected. And when one exists, the other exists. But when one ceases to exist, another also ceases to exist. That is what interconnected means. And vice versa. When this is there, then consciousness is there. But when object is not there, consciousness is not there. So, the teaching of 12 links is about dependent origination. One thing dependent to another thing, and this thing dependent on that thing. So the cause and result is one direction. That is why this is called dependent origination. But in the Mahayana, we called this interdependent. Interdependence and dependence are a little different, but the original Sanskrit or Pali word is exactly the same word, but understanding is different. That's why same teaching about in the early Buddhism was called dependent origination. And in the Mahayana, we call this interdependent origination. To me, this tiny difference is important, and it's interesting. This person, the person who wrote this book, mentioned, quote, the 10 links instead of 12 links. And I think that difference and this 10 link, the idea of 10 links of causation is the origin of Mahayana teaching. Very important point of Mahayana teaching, that is interconnectedness or interdependence instead of dependence. To me, this is very important to understand what Dogen is saying here. So, after he quote first sayings by Buddha, Dogen says, after a pause, Dogen said, in the snow is a single branch of jeweled plum. Jeweled plum blossoms. Wondrous fragrance strikes the nose, arriving before spring. So he's talking about plum blossom. December 8th in lunar calendar is about, middle of January, I think. So it's colder than December 8th in solar calendar. And when Dogen lived, at Eheiji, every year they have a lot of snow. During entire winter, they have snow. Because, Eheiji or Fukui prefecture was facing the Japan Sea. And during winter, wind came from Siberia, the north, and comes through above the Japan Sea. That means bring a lot of humidity. And when Japan Sea and mountains, when the humid air hit the mountain and go up, it becomes snow. So this side means the side of Pacific Ocean. It's even in the winter, it's not so cold. And but in that side, northern side, it always during winter, it always dark, cold, and wet, and lot of snow. Sometimes they have 10 feet of snow in the winter. So when he gave a dharma discourse during winter, often he talks about the tree, plum tree, and plum tree is only tree or plant bloom flowers during that cold, wet winter, and plum blossom in the snow is the kind of a sign of spring is coming, and yet the entire world is still covered with snow. So in a sense, the plum blossom in the snow is a symbol of hope of spring is coming, it's getting warm. And spring in this case is a metaphor or symbol of, in this case, nirvana, awakening. So even though we are still in the winter and everything is covered with snow, and yet plum blossoms are already there. And through the beautiful blossoms, we can see the spring is already here. That is the meaning of this one branch of plum blossoms in Dogen's Dharma discourses. So when he said, in the snow is a single branch of jeweled plum blossoms. So this plum blossoms is beautiful like a jewel. And wondrous fragrance strikes the nose, arriving before spring. So spring is still not here, but they can feel spring is already here through this beautiful flower. And in this case, the flower and Dogen's eye, and Dogen's nose and fragrance are this relation. Sense organs and object of sense organs. And when eye is there, plum blossom is there. When wondrous fragrance is there, Dogen feel the fragrance through his nose. So he's talking about this relation between sense organs and object of sense organs, and they are interconnected. And this analogy of plum blossom in the snow for Dogen means came from his teacher's poem. His teacher was Tendo Nyojo or Tianton Rujin, the Chinese Soto Zen master. In his in Rujin's Dharma Hall discourse on the occasion of Buddha's Enlightenment Day. Rujin said, this is from Shobo Genzo Baika. Baika is plum blossoms. So Dogen really loves plum blossoms. And this is not only the real plum blossoms blooming at Eheiji, but this plum blossom came from his teacher's poem. And part of his poem, Dogen's teacher's poem about Buddha's enlightenment or awakening. So this is Rujin's poem about Buddha's awakening. He said, at the time, Gautama lost his eyeball. So he said, Shakyamuni lost his eyeball. In the snow, there was a plum blossom on a single branch. So on a single branch, there are some plum blossoms. Well, the poem continues, but this is an important point to understand Dogen, what Dogen is meant when he talks about plum blossom in the snow. That means what Rujin said in the first line is Shakyamuni and bright morning star. When Shakyamuni saw the bright morning star, he attained awakening. And according to Rujin, Dogen's teacher, that means Shakyamuni lost his eyeball. That means this disappeared. Then only the bright morning star is there. And Buddha's eye disappeared. That means Buddha's eye became part of this morning star within this Indra's net. As I always said, Dogen always sees things from the interconnectedness or network of interdependent connectedness or interdependent origination. That is Indra's net. We think each knot of the thread is individual or independent. And in this case, Shakyamuni sees the morning star, or Rujin's eye sees the plum blossoms. But Rujin's eye or Buddha's eye is empty. It's not really existing. It's a collection of all different elements, and same as plum blossoms or morning stars. So when Buddha lost his eye, this entire network is morning star, and Buddha's eye disappeared. But from another side, this morning star become the part of his eyes within this network, because I always said, we see this each not as one individual beings, but this is empty. It's not really there. Or all there is elements of connections. Therefore, everything in there is empty. That means we can say this entire network is me. That is what I say, infinity. This entirety is me, because there's no such separation between me and rest of the network. So we can say this entirety is Buddha or Buddha's eye. And when Buddha's eye disappeared, this entire network is the morning star. Morning star has interconnection with all beings within this network. So, when one thing disappeared, the other thing also disappeared. That means only there is just a network, just a relation. For not only Dogen, but in Mahayana teaching, this is what this reality, that everything is interconnected. Therefore, individuality is not really there. Individual beings is empty. There's no such separation between this and that. Therefore, this entirety is Buddha, or we can say this entirety is bright star. Or we could say there's no such things, but only this Indra's net is there. So everything disappeared. We can say from in many different ways. This is kind of different from the teaching of 12 links. But this has a connection with 10 links of causation. That means when these two both are empty and related, when one thing exists, the other thing also exists. But when one thing disappeared, other thing also disappeared. So we can say the same thing in many ways. That is what Dogen meant when he said, in the snow is a single branch of jeweled plum blossom, means Rujin's or Dogen's eye disappeared, but only plum blossom is there. And plum blossom is the symbol of entirety of Indra's net. But we can say from the other side, this entirety is Rujin's or Dogen's eye, and bright star or plum blossoms disappeared. Same as wondrous fragrance of plum blossoms and Dogen's nose. So these are existing together within this entire network of interdependent origination. If we don't understand, this structure of Mahayana teaching of interdependence, we don't understand what he's talking about. So when we understand this point, his final verse is also not so difficult. He said, when the morning star finally appeared, and this is the final poem by Dogen. When the morning star finally appeared, that means after the final quarter in that night, Buddha accomplished the way. That means Buddha accomplished the way, means Buddha became this entirety. That is what awakening means. So bright star disappeared. Or we can say he see himself is empty. There's no such thing called him. So only bright star is there. And that is entirety of interdependence. So when the morning star finally appeared, Buddha accomplished the way. That means Buddha lost his eyes. In the snow is a single branch of plum blossoms. So this came from Dojin's poem. In the snow is a single branch of plum blossoms, means the eye Shakyamuni lost is blooming on the branch of plum blossom in this case, in front of Dogen. So Dogen and plum blossom in the snow is the same as Shakyamuni's and bright morning star. So on the great earth, sentient beings together with grasses and trees. So on the great earth, refer to this great earth, entire world, entire network or intranet within this great earth. Together with grasses and trees, that refer to all kind of individual beings, attain joy as never before at this time. So when we see this reality that we are existing together with all beings and we are supported by all beings, so we try to support other beings. That is how all beings, grasses and trees existing together within this network and attains joy as never before at this point. So when we don't see this reality of interconnectedness, we can find the joy of being together with all beings. Otherwise, when we only see individuality, we are always, trying to, within this process of 12 rings or 10 rings, after contact, we have feelings or sensation, craving, and clinging or attachment. Then we take action based on clinging, and we create kind of a karmic actions. Then we create the karma, whether good or bad. But when we see in this way, there's no contact between this and that. It's kind of interesting idea. But as far as we are seeing as individuals through our mind or through our six consciousnesses, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind, as subject and see as object, we have some good feeling or positive feeling or negative feeling. Therefore, we like this or hate that, and we want to get this and make this my possession, or I want to escape from this thing. Then that is how our karmic life begins. But when we see how we are together with all beings, there's no such contact because this is one thing. This is what awakening means in Mahayana teaching and especially in Dogen's teaching. And this is what we do during the Zen. You sat 6-7 days. It's a long time, I'm sure. And when we sit and letting go of our thought, our mind, that means we don't cling to what we feel. When we sit in the Zendo, the object of first 5 sense organs are not really a problem, even though wall is in front of our eyes, but we don't think the wall is the object of our eye, and eye consciousness doesn't start. So the first 5 consciousness or 5 sense organs, it's not so much problem. Sometimes it's problem. But the 6th, mind and object of mind, is a problem. Much difficult problem, because it's happening not outside. The object is not outside, but object is inside. And often we think, my thought is me, myself. So we don't see mind as object and the thinking as object. So we don't feel this, relation, because we think thinking is me. What I think is what is me. But it's important to see, mind and object of mind are this relation. So when we open our hand or letting go, this can go away. Of course, next moment it's coming. But keep letting go means keep, thoughts are coming and going. Same as, the world is always there, and bird singing is there, and we cannot control. Birds are just singing, and we are just sitting. So bird singing is not object of this person sitting. But in the case of mind and object of mind or thinking, it's really difficult, because we basically think what's happening in our mind, is me. But it's important to understand when we open our hand, this is same as bird singing. It's come and go, come and go. But this person sitting is not thinking. To clearly understand this point is really important. So our practice is not kind of eliminating our thoughts. Thoughts are coming and going, same as the bird singing or the sound of wind blowing, or the traffic, sound of traffic. They are there, but they are not object of this person sitting. So we are just sitting and things are happening. We see in the same way, person sitting and things happening in our mind as thinking, or kind of a memory or dreaming. So in our Zazen at Sanshin, this is really important. By letting go, we see our thinking is not ourself, but I am sitting, I'm just sitting, but thoughts are coming and going within this sitting. And according to Dogen, this is the same as, we are living together, existing together with other beings in the internet. Well, I hope it makes sense. And if we have experience of the Zen, especially like a sesshin, I think you can understand what I'm talking, I hope. Well, are we going to have a ceremony? Okay, so we don't have much time, but if you have question or comment.
So previously, in talking about Buddha's awakening, you have described it for us as, in that moment, 5 skandhas stop clinging to 5 skandhas, and Buddha doesn't kill Mara. Mara functions as Buddha. And that sound, I can see the parallel between that kind of description and your description today. Can you make a little bit of a connection for us between those two explanations?
Well, what I said is came from what Buddha said. Our five skandhas are mara. Five skandhas mean our body and mind. And these five skandhas, body and mind, easily become five skandhas of attachment. Or means somehow five skandhas produce the idea of the self or me or I. But somehow, even though five skandhas create this idea or concept of me or I, five skandhas think, this I or the self is owner and operator of themselves. So five skandhas think they belong to this I or the self. That is the creation of five skandhas. It's kind of interesting, but this I think happened after human beings start to think using words and concept. In words and concept, some concept is established. It should not be changed. It should be different. So, because making a concept is to make the separation between this and that. So somehow as a natural function of our five skandhas cling to five skandhas themselves as me or myself. And this is owner and operator of five skandhas. So my five skandhas think five skandhas have to do what is ordered by me, by Shohaku. That is how we usually live using our thinking mind. That is a good point of human form of life, because using language, because we start using language, we can communicate with others, and we can think, and we can create the kind of a world in which we think and we make judgment and we make choice. Otherwise, we cannot communicate with others, or we can think of past, present, and future. That is all the function of our thinking mind. But because of this thinking mind, we have this kind of a distortion or upside down, that this concept is made by our five skandhas. Still, these five skandhas think we belong to that thing. That is interesting. And when Buddha said our five skandhas are mara, he called these five skandhas as Goshu five skandhas of attachment. So, five skandhas of attachment is mara. And when Buddha had awakening, he conquered this mara. But even after Buddha's awakening, his five skandhas continue to function, but not as a mara, but as Buddha's body and mind. So the function of five skandhas are transformed, but same thing is still working. That is five skandhas. So five skandhas can be five skandhas of attachment or clinging, and five skandhas are just being five skandhas. That is emptiness, and that is what is said in the beginning of the Heart Sutra. When Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva clearly seeing the emptiness of five skandhas, all suffering, we are released from all suffering, all karmic, procedure. So that is what I think Buddha meant. And when we open our hand, that means our 5 skandhas become empty 5 skandhas, not 5 skandhas of attachment. This transformation is happening in our Zen. And problem is this transformation cannot be done with our thinking. Even if I think now I let go of my clinging to 5 skandhas, still it's thinking. And that is mana is functioning, but we have opened our hand, actually open our hand, and it's interesting, but when we open our hand, we cannot say, I am opening my hand now. Because if we say so, we are still thinking and grasping. So that is very kind of a strange and very unique thing. Well, is the answer to your question?
So 5 skandhas letting go of 5 skandhas, Buddha losing his eyeball, are the same thing.
I think so. Okay. Anything else?
I like the the clarification of your thoughts and feelings and stuff being objects, because if you're not used to thinking that way, then what was I going to say? Then it's hard to grasp that, and
When we grasp, we lose it.
oh, right. That's part of the problem right there. But I was thinking during Zazen today that various thoughts that come up in my head, I kind of like, if I grasp onto them, then I'm kind of treating them like toys, like the stick that is sometimes used in some temples. So I don't know, just an interesting thought.
Yeah, it's really interesting. What we can do is just opening a hand. That's all. And we cannot say, now I am opening my hand. I think this is the same as when we are sleeping, we cannot say, I'm sleeping. If we say, I'm sleeping, then we are not sleeping. That's a problem. So this prajna, or this awakening, can be only practiced. But if we think what I'm talking, then that is thinking. So this is an interesting thing. Okay, anything else? Please?
Just to extend this a little further, so when you say this opening the hand, it can only be practiced. It can't be sort of seen whether or not we're doing it. We can't even see ourselves whether we're doing it or not. And yet, when you describe how it functions, we can sort of recognize it. We can say, oh, that's what was happening.
Yeah, this is
later.
This is what I understand, my understanding and my thinking. So this is already a concept. So when I sit, I cannot think in this way. If we say, I think this way, then it's not Zen. But understanding this structure or Mahayana Buddhist teaching, it's kind of helpful for us to actually sit in this way. So understanding is important. But when we sit, we have to let go of this understanding also and just sit. That is what Dogen meant, just sit.
So in practicing our understanding, we have to let go of our understanding.
Right. And to do so, we need a correct understanding.
So when Swati Roshi
Before sitting,
says we have to understand our practice and practice our understanding, that's not a simple phrase.
Yeah, that is what Dogen said in Gakudoyo Jinshu. studying dharma and practicing and letting go of thinking, both are important. And if we sit and thinking about this kind of things, that is not the Zen.
Well, let me understand something then. We say in our tradition, we do not sit meditation in order to become enlightened.
Right.
The sitting itself is the enlightenment, right?
Right.
That's our tradition. So Buddha is sitting under the Bodhi tree all night in the dark. He's doing zazen, right? Then he sees the morning star and he becomes enlightened. Can you explain that?
No.
Thank you.
I really don't know. I'm sorry. Anything else? Well, we need to do the ceremony, so better to finish. Okay, thank you very much for listening.